With Brady now the starter in Tampa, will Bruce Arians' offense be a good or bad thing for Tom Brady?
Skip, on one hand, it looks like a good fit for the simple fact you look at all the weapons. Godwin, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, now he signed Gronk, Cameron Brate. They took a running back, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, in the second or third round, drafted an offensive lineman with the 10th pick in the draft. Well, high in the draft. So it looks like a good fit because of the weapons. But when you delve inside of it, it's really not a good fit because in that offense, Skip, it's all about pushing the ball down the field. And you know this, when you push the ball down the field, you subject yourself to more turnovers. This is why Jameis made some horrible mistakes. All of those turnovers weren't on long passes. He had some horrible read, Skip, on some underneath stuff. And even on the deep balls, he threw into traffic a lot. But this is what this offense requires you to do. Skip, for the most part, Tom Brady's 20-year career, except with that 3-year span, in 1 year, remember, Skip, he only played one game with Randy. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, in 2008, he only played one game. He got hurt early in that game. And so basically it was 7 and 9 in which he played with Randy Moss. That was really the only time the Patriots offense was deep strike, push the ball down the field because you had Randy Moss. Other than that, Tom Brady has been very risk averse. This is why his running backs catch so many passes. That's why the screen game is so good for them. It's something that they really work on. And if you think about it, you're going to have to ask Tom Brady to retrain what he's been trained to do, which is risk aversion. That means you're going to have to stand in the pocket a little longer. You're going to have to allow guys to get a little closer to you, and you're going to have to push the ball down the field. And you're going to have to trust Godwin. You're going to have to trust Godwin and Mike Evans, that they're going to make plays. And either they're going to make the play or they're going to break the play up, and the defense is not going to make a play. All right, so, Skip, yeah, it looks great because you look at the weapons, and Brady as a whole maybe not have ever had offensive weapons like this at one particular time. Now, Skip, we know what Gronk represented. We know Wes Welker, what he represented, and we Randy Moss. But when you combine all this, I don't know if you've ever had this, but when you really, really look at it, Skip, Tom Brady's going to be asked to stand in the pocket, take 7-step drops, hold the ball, and push it down the field. So they're going to be asking Tom Brady to do things in which he hasn't done in a very long time. Whether or not it's going to work, we're going to have to see. But it's asking him to do something that he really hasn't done, or I don't know if he's really comfortable doing, especially at the age of 43. Skip, licks hurt a little more as we start to age. Trust me.
Trust me. So, back to your premise that Tom Brady at 43 might not have the arm or the guts or the durability to be able to take an offense in which go routes are called every other play. I believe that whole narrative is fallacious. I believe it's just, as Bruce Arians said, flat out wrong. Arians said a couple days after they were able to sign Tom Brady that I think the perception is just wrong. I thought his deep ball was outstanding last year. And Shannon, I got to tell you, the stats back that up. Would you believe that Tom Brady threw 7 touchdown passes of 20 or more yards last year? That was his most since 2006. And back to Jameis, who was in that bombs away offense last year and put up absurd numbers, great and bad. Jameis was #1 in tight window completions of 20 or more yards. Guess who was tied for first with Jameis for tight window completions of more than 20 yards? Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. That guy did that last year with nobody to throw to in New England. Tom Brady tied Jameis for the most guarded deep ball throws in the league. And by the way, as Pro Football Focus pointed out in grading Brady from last year, his passing suffered for lack of quality receivers in 2019. Brady's numbers were solid with nobody getting open on a consistent basis. I told you Pro Football Focus graded the Patriots receivers as dead last in separation, in being able to get free from a DB or a linebacker or anybody covering them. So to me, it's just erroneous to think Tom Brady can't stand up to this offense. And by the way, Bruce Arians knows how it works, because he went on to say that we do have some reads that start deep and come back short. But I've had a couple of quarterbacks, one of them obviously being Jameis, that just kept looking deep and wouldn't throw the check down. And he loves, Bruce Arians, what Tom Moore, his great advisor who coached Peyton Manning in his early years in Indy, Tom Moore's always said that nobody ever went broke putting money in the bank. Well, they didn't, because it's check downs. If somebody's open short, just dump it to them. So now Tom Brady goes to an offense that has obviously the prince of midair in Evans, Mike Evans, who's 6 feet 5 inches tall. And Pro Football Focus ranked Chris Godwin last year the #1 receiver in football. So now you've got those two on the outside. You added Gronk, who has the best rapport of anybody, I think even beyond Edelman, that Brady threw to in New England. And you also have O.J. Howard, who's an untapped resource. He still hasn't figured out how to play. He's 6'5", and he ran 4.5 at the Combine. My goodness. What do you think's going to happen? Greatness is going to happen, because there's nothing wrong with Brady's arm. They had another workout yesterday. They said they probably had 10 or 12 in Tampa. Hope they're social distancing. But they say his arm looks as good as ever. It looks live. So to me, I don't see that this whole storyline that he can't stand up to the offense. Yeah, he can. And sometimes he's going to throw some short balls that are going to be run after catch balls.
Yeah. Skip, I believe that. But if that's where it came off, Skip, that's not what I meant. I'm not saying Tom Brady can't. I'm saying Tom Brady's going to be asked to throw the ball down the field more than at any point in time in his career. This is the offense. And yes, Skip, in every offense, you throw the ball deep occasionally. But nobody asked their quarterback to throw the ball deep more than what Tampa asked Jameis to do. And when you do that, Skip, you allow the defense to get closer. Tom has done a great job, Skip. You remember when I think it was Joey Bosa that was mic'd up in that divisional game. And he's like, man, I can't get there, because Tom was just throwing the ball. He was getting the ball out of his hands so quick. Well, that's not Tampa's offense. Tampa is about pushing the ball down the field. It's about getting those big plays. It's about getting those plays, as John Gruden used to say, that gut you. You know, the screen pass, yeah, it's frustrating, Skip. The little swing, a little shallow, yeah. But there's nothing gets the crowd in the game like a 50, 60-yard touchdown pass. And that's what Bruce Arians' offense is predicated on. And this is why normally in their first year, their quarterback, with the exception of Big Ben, Skip, remember, Big Ben, when he got Big Ben, the Steelers were a Jerome Bettis, Willie Parker, run the football, play defense, Ben, we're going to let you throw it on third down. Where all the other quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Skip, he led the league in interception, but they put everything on Peyton's plate. You look at Carson Palmer, they put everything on his plate when he had him in Arizona. So Andrew Luck, Skip, we know Andrew Luck was a turnover machine, because you got to hold the ball, you take a lot of blows, but you also get an opportunity to reap the reward. And so, Skip, as you mentioned, like you never lose money putting money in the bank. Well, and if you want big money, you got to invest in riskier stocks. You know, people that really made it big, Skip, they invested in Google. They invested in Apple. They invested in those stocks. Like, I don't know about this. Man, you mean to tell me the internet's going to be big in 2000 and in 2010 and people going to really need a search engine? Nah, I don't know about that. Those guys made more money than putting their money in Wells Fargo and Wachovia. Well, Wells Fargo bought Wachovia, but you know what I mean, Skip. You know, you're getting 3% of your money as opposed to investing in riskier stocks and getting 15, 20. Risk reward. So there's a huge reward on the end of that, but there's a ton of risk in that style of play also. That's what I'm saying, Skip. Yes, I believe Tom can throw the ball down the field, but are you going to ask him to do that like you asked Jameis, on the amount of times that you asked Jameis, and can he stand in there? Jameis took some blows, Skip. You know, to push the ball down the field, you got to take a few to the chops.
Okay, so here's what stunned me about the Pro Football Focus ranking of the deep throwers from last year. Jameis led across the board in 5 categories, but Jameis fell all the way down to 12th in the rank. Is it 12th or 13th? 12th, I believe it was. But Jameis fell way down the list because he was so bad with the turnovers. He had so many negative statistics that undercut the positive.
Yes.
So, Shannon, he turned it over 35 times last year, 30 interceptions, 5 lost fumbles. Tom Brady turned it over 9 times with a bad offense in New England, 8 interceptions and 1 lost fumble. Okay, 35 down to 9. What if Brady just turns it over a dozen times? What if you cut it down by 23 turnovers? It's so much better that your offense is going to be twice as good. It'll be twice as effective. And you brought this up, and I know some of the Tampa reporters have already written about this and talked about it on ESPN. Brady is the master of the screen pass. I don't think anybody has ever set up and thrown the screen any better than Tom Brady. For whatever reason, Jameis couldn't get a hold of throwing screen passes. It was not his forte. He didn't have the feel or the touch for the short ball. He could really throw the deep ball, especially if you gave him just one more second in the pocket. He could kill you with the deep ball, but he didn't throw the screen. So they abandoned the screen. Watch Tom Brady. I kept telling you, my little man from Vanderbilt, Keyshawn Vaughn, they stole him in the 3rd round. He can flat out ball. He can catch it out of the backfield. He's short and stout and quick and hard to get on the ground. Well, watch what he does with screen passes next year. That's a whole nother part of the repertoire that Bruce Arians and Tom Moore have at their fingertips. And in the end, Shannon, they know this is the GOAT, man. They're going to welcome and honor his input into their offense.
Absolutely.
So you're going to see a blend of Brady and Arians. Brady and Arians. He does this. They like to do this. The twain shall meet. And obviously in 2007, Tom Brady threw 50 touchdown passes, a lot of them to Randy Moss. They broke all the records. So it's not like he's never done this before. He would love to do this if it works. But what he loves more than records are Super Bowls. So I think it's an all-time great fit. I think it's the perfect place for Tom Brady to end his career in Tampa with Bruce Arians. And again, I don't have any trepidation about Tom's ability to throw the deep ball if he's protected. And now they're going to have to protect him and give him the 7-step drop kind of time that you need to throw home runs.
Skip, the screen game is really tied to your feet. And guys, really, you have to have good feet because, Skip, you got to fake one way. A lot of times you fake one way, gather your feet, and throw the ball back the other way. And I'm not so sure that Jameis had the best feet. Now, he was good at dropping. I think he had slow feet, and I think he does a great job of dropping back, throwing the ball down the field. But, Skip, if you look at guys that are good at the screen game, you watch their feet, and you watch how fast their feet. They'll take it, they'll fake one way, and now I got to reset my body and throw the ball up the other way. Now, Tom Brady was great at that because you know why, Skip? That was a part of their offense. It was something that he knew he had to get good at because that was such a big, valuable asset in their game plan. So he became very proficient. Skip, you got to work on screens. I mean, we were okay when I was playing, Skip. We were okay, but we were basically a toss, handoff, strong, weak team and push the ball down the field. We weren't as great as we probably should have been. Now, we kept trying to put it in the game plan, but we didn't have the success that, say, a Steve Young had with the 49ers. Or Brett ran the screen game really well, Skip. But you look at guys' feet when they run the screen game, and it'll tell you how successful they're going to be. So you're right. I believe they'll have a measure as well as they should, Skip. The quarterback should be heavily involved because just because you like something, you stand on the sideline calling the plays. I'm out here. I know what's working, and I know what I believe that will work best. So I do believe that they'll come together, and it will be a mix. But at the end of the day, Skip, they're going to push the ball down the field, Skip, I believe, a lot more than what Tom Brady is used to.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.